Okay, I see that we have a quorum established and it's 7 p.m. Meeting called to order at 7 p.m. This is the meeting of the Southfield Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered as a community meeting. There is an opportunity for public participation during the meeting and comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board will listen to comments but may not respond during the meeting. If you wish to address the board, you will be given an opportunity to do so later on this meeting. Roll call. Charles Hicks, Board President.
Darrell B. Joyce, Vice President.
Michael Poole, Board Trustee.
Trustee Joyce.
Yes. Yes, Darrell B. Joyce, Vice President.
No, Trustee Robinson, I don't think we can hear you.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Hicks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Michael Poole, Board Trustee.
Betty Robinson.
Talisha Rice, Board Trustee. I can't hear Trustee Charles.
Yolanda, can you hear us?
Okay. We acknowledge that she is here. She'll just return when she's capable. Dr. Green?
Dr. Jennifer Green, Superintendent. Taking minutes this evening, we have Ms. Laura Norris and Ms. Andrea Philpott, and we have members of the executive team on the line as well.
Okay, if we can just say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, nation, under God, indivisible,
With liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you all. Trustee Smith Thomas had some family issues this evening and cannot join us. Please keep her family in your thoughts and prayers. Board matters. Are there any board matters?
Yes. I have a board matter. Our bylaw states when a board member requests information, it should be granted and no vote is required. We ask for information so we can make intelligent decisions on matters that concern the school district. We do not expect the superintendent to personally retrieve information, but we do expect you to get a member of your staff to retrieve the information requested or arrange to have information presented to us in a timely manner, either in a meeting or a study session. We as board members have an allegiance to our stakeholders, our homeowners, parents, students, staff, and every person employed by the school district. We are charged with making sure this district is financially solvent, provide quality education for all students, advocate for students' achievement, and public education. I take my position as a board member very serious because I am an elected official elected by parents, PTA members, homeowners, and the community at large to represent their interests in this school district. So any information I request is important for me to make an intelligent, informed decision. People trust me to ask the right questions and not rubber stamp everything that is presented to me. So I respectfully ask us to follow our bylaws. Okay, thank you.
Any other board matters?
Our Board President, I have two.
Yes, ma'am.
The first one would be to the family of Cynthia Watson. I do want to express my deepest sympathies to the family on the passing of Mrs. Watson. She was the best colleague in education a person could ask for and an inspiration to the Vandenberg team in Southfield Public Schools. Cynthia was always very supportive. Like when my son was in her 4th grade class, she was a teacher who executed differentiated instruction to align to his reading skills and abilities. She was also an excellent collaborator, and it showed as she excelled in principalship and guided the Vandenberg community to excellence. Cynthia was like an energy station. With her presence, she would light us all up with positivity. Her contributions to my son's life, my life, and to Southfield Public Schools as an employee will always be much appreciated. Please accept my deepest condolences for your family. I find myself extremely fortunate to have had a chance to know her, to work with her, and to share some beautiful memories. I am surely going to miss her. My prayers and thoughts are extended to her families and friends.
Thank you. I echo those sentiments as well.
Absolutely. Any other board matters?
I have one additional. I would like to extend a congratulations to our class of 2020. I do want to say congrats to the Southfield Public High School class of
What happened? It froze.
It looks like she may have dropped off. I'll send her
No.
a text.
Something popped up and said, due to bandwidth in the corner there, we can't do this. Some type of message popped up explaining why it froze.
Her internet bandwidth is down. I'll send her a text message.
some positive.
Oh,
I think she's back. She's
Okay.
back.
You
Can you
went
hear
out for a minute.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
And leave you with some positive messages to start your new chapter. Just a few quotes from the author is Oprah Winfrey. Your calling isn't something that somebody can tell you about. It is what you fear. It's part of your force inside of you. It's the thing that gives you juice, the thing that you are supposed to do, and anyone can tell you what that is. You know it inside of yourself. Sometimes you find out what you are supposed to do by doing things that you are not supposed to do. Forget about the fast lane. If you really want to fly, just harness your power to your passion. Everyone has it and within them. Trust your heart and success will come to you. Again, I do want to wish a very congratulations to our graduating class of 2020. Thank you.
Other board matters?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I thank Trustee Rice for those words about Mrs. Watson. It came as a shock to me, well, it came as a shock to me, but certainly condolences go to her family and the Vandenberg family who just adored her from the comments in the post. We also lost Mrs. Bias last week, former Adler staff member. I believe she had retired recently and just was such a strong and powerful soul. And so the Southfield Public Schools community naturally is saddened at these passings. I also want to mention just quickly that I tiptoed into a local city council meeting earlier this week, and I want to just remind the board members, it seems that we do still have a desire from we are a 2-city district, right? And so it seems like we do have another momentum that our Lathrop Village families are perhaps not as glued in or tied into our budgeting structure. And so I just wanted to, I know it's coming up at the end of the agenda, but perhaps somebody may not stick around till that point, but we do have our Truth and Taxation meeting coming up a little bit later this month. And I just encourage folks who have concerns about our budget or, you know, where our money goes to certainly stop by and check that meeting out.
Thank you. Well, I want to echo some of the sentiments made throughout this call. One, condolences to the family of Ms. Watson. They're not thoughts and prayers, definitely. Also, congratulations to the class of 2020. We hope that you continually do well, whatever your future endeavors may be, and we hope that you continue to use the foundation
And a
staff
bad connection.
within this district to continue your achievement.
Mr. Hicks, we have a very bad connection. Everything you said was
We
cut off.
also want to thank the board representatives who served on this board alongside of us. Definitely congratulations to you all. And finally, we want to thank all those who are retiring. We want to thank those who are retiring for your service.
Can you check the connection, Mr. Hicks? Because half of your comments were sporadic, off and on. We could barely, it was choppy, very choppy. Can you check the connection, please?
Dr. Green?
Good evening, trustees, board president, community.
While I check that, Dr. Green, if you can continue.
Okay, absolutely. We may have our student board reps on the call. I just sent Ms. Norris a message. They were scheduled to be on, but it doesn't appear that they're on as panelists. So I did want to acknowledge the fact that they may be on the call, and if they are, if they could send a message so that we can get them on as panelists and give them the proper acknowledgement throughout the meeting. In the meantime, Ms. Norris, if you could pull up the superintendent's report and share your screen.
So Dr. Green, I do see Deja in as a attendee.
Oh, excellent.
So just as you know, I've been
she's now a panelist.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, I don't see any of the other ones on the list. That just as an FYI, unless they dialed in.
So board president, before I proceed with the superintendent's report, I know we generally allow the students to go first so that they can move on with whatever things that they have to do. So if you would like to take a moment, there she is.
You guys can see me?
Deja, did you want to share any comments with the trustees this evening about your experience being in virtual school and or what your hopes are for the future?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, everything happened kind of fast and unexpectedly, and nobody really knew what was going on as far as me and the rest of the students. But I am at IB classes, so it's certain things that I have to do that's not the same as the regular curriculum. But the online courses that I've been taking have pretty much been centered around Google Classroom, which is cool for me. I've been in meetings with all of my teachers, and really every week we've been meeting. And the things that they're instructing, the assignments that they're giving aren't difficult to learn, and the way that they teach it is good. So I'm appreciative of that. Like I said, I am an IB, so we did have to take a final, but it was reasonable. That's one thing I can say is my teachers have been very reasonable, in my opinion, as far as work and the different things that they are assigning. So that's good. But I think I speak for a lot of the students because I do talk to my friends and in group chats and everything, and everybody is really just like uncertain. And I think that's what's getting to everybody. Like, are we going back to school in the fall? Are we not? How long is online learning going to take place? So it's a lot of uncertainty, and I think just communication is kind of what's throwing everybody off. You know, nobody really knows what's going on, and the riots and everything. You know, it can be overwhelming at times, but you know, I'm doing the best I can. I'm actually doing pretty good, actually. So, yeah.
Well, Deja, I'm not sure which trustee was going to jump in and comment. We greatly appreciate your feedback and will definitely continue to survey the students and take into account all of your feedback. Ironically, another student shared with me that they were able to learn have a better understanding of their learning because it was at a slower rate versus the teacher trying to get through all of the content in the 55 minutes that they normally do. So I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. Know that we are making decisions that are in your best interest in terms of your health and well-being, and not rushing to a decision simply to have a document on file. We want to make the right decision, not have the first document out there for the public. So let your friends know that we appreciate their feedback, and we will continue to keep you informed as well. Deja, trustees, I'm not sure if you're aware, Deja is actually a junior and not a senior. So I think she may be one of the first juniors to have served in this capacity.
No, she's not.
Not? Okay. Well, she is a junior, and while we have her on the line, it's a good time for the trustees to give me some direction relative to if you wish to interview students right now for the next school year, or if you want to wait and do that later this summer.
I think we need to start so they can be ready in August or whenever school starts. So I don't mind starting the interview process in this month or next month.
And Board President,
Yes, ma'am.
I wouldn't be opposed to virtual interviews with the candidates
Right.
as part of the process.
Okay. All right.
Then
Any?
I'll begin that process if there are no objections from anyone.
Sure. Go right ahead.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Dr. Green.
Okay, Ms. Norris, if you could share the screen, and Ms. Wells, if you are no longer with us at the end of these comments, have a good evening, and I hope to see you soon.
Okay, you guys have a good evening too. Thank you.
Thank you, Deja. Yep.
Okay, is Ms. Norris the presenter, Board President?
Double checking. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Norris. Again, good evening, everyone. We have several updates to share with you this evening. You can move to the first screen, Ms. Norris. Just a few of the items. We, of course, want to touch upon the governor's executive orders, give you a graduation update. We have a few surprises for you that we've added in. The one is as recent as this afternoon. We want to share a resolution by the Oakland Schools Board of Education, discuss a countywide enhancement millage proposal, give you some task force updates and county recommendations. Also share with you the community survey results from our stakeholders and our staff survey as of today, because that survey is still open. So those results could possibly change, but we wanted you to have that in real time. And then, of course, we will have the Head Start report. According to Director Hill, the fiscal portion of that will come to you later this month, because there is an amendment pending, and that will be incorporated into the fiscal report. So that part will not be included. So this evening, the governor's executive orders, the last three orders that were passed are the safeguards to protect Michigan workers. Again, we discussed that in the past when it was part of Executive Order 97. Now 114 has some very specific guidelines relative to the type of business you operate. So we are working to modify the policy that you supported last time to include some additional items relative to keeping all of our staff safe as they return back to the buildings. The 115 discusses temporary restrictions on certain events, gatherings, and businesses. As of right now, outside gatherings have increased. However, you must still maintain social distancing, and the indoor numbers have increased as well. However, the caveat for us as a school district, 65 still keeps school districts closed through the end of our year, and our year does not end until June 30th. 116, temporary suspension for the permits. Jolene Davis is still doing work permits for our students by appointment, and that is on Tuesday. Thank you, Ms. Norris. You can move forward. Good news, the class of 2020, we have a full weekend of celebrations. We have the diploma processional, we have the caravan on the 19th, and on the 21st, of course, we have the virtual ceremony. Mr. Beebe, if you are on the line, did you want to speak to any one of these? Okay, don't necessarily hear him, but I would like to state that the reason the 19th was chosen, that is Juneteenth, and that is significant for our history. So we wanted to make sure that our children understand that that had historic impact in addition to being a date selected for us to celebrate them. And we're grateful for our partners because they too have come together to make sure that our students have a full weekend of activities. I now see BB has been moved up to panelist. So Mr. B, if you want to unmute and add any commentary there, the next 2 slides will give away the surprise. So don't give away that piece yet. Unmute, Mr. B. There you go.
All right. Hi, good evening, everyone. As Dr. Green stated, we're super excited. We've been working behind the scenes trying to get everything going. So our diploma processional is in place. We've got our both staffs are participating. And as Dr. Green stated, I won't give away the surprise and everything, but so we've got everything set to go. In regards to our caravan, we have our route set. I just got some information back from the police department, so it may change a little bit, but at this point in time, we're starting at Hope United Methodist Church, going Civic Center Drive, then going to Evergreen, taking Evergreen north up to 12 Mile, taking 12 Mile to Southfield Road, and the parade and caravan route will conclude at Southfield Road, with the police directing us to make a right turn, taking us south onto Southfield Road as the celebration will disperse there. So things are in place. Our teams and high schools submitted their information to Herb Jones for the virtual graduation that will occur on Sunday. So at this point in time, everything is in place and we're moving forward.
Okay, Ms. Norris, if you could move to the next slide. We're very pleased to announce that as of this evening, we have solidified a contract with a company to erect a stage for our students to walk across and to have their photo taken at the diploma processional. This did cost approximately $10,000. And again, this will be funded by a generous donation from someone within our community. Now, this person who resides in our community does not have children, however, strongly believes in the direction of the leadership and is extremely supportive of the things that we do. In the words of this young lady, she says she doesn't believe in programs, she believes in people. And because of what she's witnessed the leadership team do in the community, she is supportive of us. So we're grateful for her support and happy to be able to provide our students with a stage for their diploma processional on the 18th. Next slide. Also, in addition to the caravan, as Mr. Beaver mentioned, we will start at Hope United Methodist Church. The police department requested that we come in on Northwestern Highway. I echo something, so if you can mute for just a second. Perfect, thank you. We have been asked by the police department to come in off of Northwestern Highway with our partnership with Hope United Methodist Church. We're extremely grateful for all that they do. So we've asked Dr. Smalls, who is their senior pastor, to give a few words over our class of 2020. The caravan will depart. We will be led by the Southfield Police Department. And as of today, the Roadmasters Corvette Club is so excited. They want to celebrate our students, and they will have all of their Corvettes out there as well so that we can engage the community. What we do ask is, because the caravan will travel down Civic Center, east on Civic Center, north on Evergreen, and east on 12 Mile to that of Southfield Road, where it will disperse south on Southfield Road. We ask that if people have family and or friends that wish to line the street, maintaining social distance, to cheer on the students, that they get there in ample time to do that, because the Southfield Police Department did indicate that they will close off the major thoroughfares as we go through. So park on a side street, stand there, social distance between the other families, and help us celebrate our students. We will have signage on the vehicles, we will have balloons, and of course, the entire caravan will be escorted by the Southfield Police Department. So we're extremely grateful for Chief Barron, for Chief Menifee, for Dr. Smalls and his team at Hope United Methodist Church, as well as Mayor Cyber, who connected us with the Roadmasters Corvette Club. So those are our newest additions to the graduation, and we're very pleased to see that all came together. So Board President, before we move off of graduation, because I know that was such a hot topic, does anyone have any questions relative to that before we move on to the next item?
Yeah, I have a question. Is there any reason why we didn't end the procession at Southfield Lathrop in the parking lot? Wouldn't that be safer?
We took direction from the Southfield Police Department relative to the route. And as Mr. Beebe just mentioned, he just received a message from the police department that may be changing. So as of this afternoon, this was the route. And I'm not sure where they're changing to right now because there has been a number of construction projects throughout the city. So we'll keep you posted.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Dr. Green.
Okay, thank you. Moving to the next item, that of the Oakland School Board resolution. During a board meeting held on June 1st, the Oakland School Board's Education adopted a resolution which authorized additional financial support to local school districts. So we are extremely grateful to the Oakland Schools Board for passing this resolution, and this will be filed with the state legislators on behalf of Oakland schools. Now, some may not know that in our community, Oakland schools and any intermediate school district cannot give direct financial contributions to local school districts. However, what they can do is absorb some of the costs that the local school district would pay to them or to other projects, and in turn afford the local district an opportunity to keep those funds in their district. So those items are, Ms. Norris, if you would advance. They are going to allow us to keep any unused career and technical education funding for this year and carry it over for the next year. Unfortunately, I don't believe we have a large amount of unused CTE funding because our team has done a great job with maximizing our career and technical education. With the closure of schools, we had some issues with reimbursement for career and technical education transportation. So they have afforded us now an opportunity to collect 100% of the approved cost. And also they are going to support us with the one consortium waiving the fees that we use for the platforms for hiring and things of that nature through Oakland schools. They are also going to they're going to increase the amount of the subsidy to cover the base fees on behalf of the school districts for Illuminate DNA, which is a product that our curriculum team utilized heavily this past year as they rebuilt our curriculum framework. So we're grateful for that support. In addition, they are going to, Ms. Norris, thank you. They're going to continue to support the local school district through the LEO project, which is the Literacy Essentials Oakland, which provides us with a literacy coach. Actually, the person will be someone in Southfield that is identified who will serve as a coach in Southfield, and Oakland Schools will cover that person's salary for the 1 year. Again, Atlas Rubicon, which is our online digital warehouse, they are going to cover that. They're going to cover Discovery Learning, which is our streaming video support for curriculum delivery. They recognize through speaking with the superintendents, the social emotional support that our students and communities will need next year is so great that they're going to continue supporting us with professional development in the area of social emotional learning. And of course, the Human Resource Consortium that I mentioned before with our applicant tracking, they are not going to charge us for that. Something new this year is NEPRIS, which is the career readiness online tool for middle schools. We did not have that before. So we're pretty excited that we will have that for our middle school students, recognizing that they need career exposure prior to high school. By the time they get to high school, they need to have a number of opportunities to view various careers. So that is what Oakland School is going to support us in, and we, again, are extremely grateful for that. So we thank them. If you see or know any one of them, please extend our gratitude. The next item is discussion that we've had before, and it seems to be resurfacing. So I wanted to bring it to you now. It's nothing that you need to act on now. However, it needs to be addressed because the county may ask for your vote before July 7th. And I know that that is right around the corner, but that is how quickly this is happening if indeed the county decides to go this route. We discussed the countywide enhancement millage. No, that's the other presentation, Ms. Norris. You need to take this one down and put up the one that's the countywide. We discussed this in the past, and essentially, to refresh your memory, it would be up to an additional 3 mills on our community and every community throughout Oakland County. It would raise their taxes, and it would be a portion of approximately $427 coming to our district and every district in Oakland County. However, Southfield is a donor district, and that's the one thing I wanted to remind you of. We collect monies from our community, and anything above the $427 that would come back to us per pupil, the remainder of the money would go to another district who did not collect the same amount of money. So Southfield and 8 other districts are donor districts of the 28. So Ms. Norris, if you could scroll to the next screen. Again, it talks about Proposal A in 1994, which took effect in 95 or 93 to 94, and how school districts were funded. Scroll to the next screen, Ms. Norris. How is the enhancement millage different from a bond? It can be specific to certain areas. So the enhancement millage could be for capital revenues for building and facility. It could be for operating costs in addition to the foundation allowance. It could be specific to special education if that is what everyone in the county decides that they want to utilize it for. So there's more flexibility with an enhancement millage than that of a bond. Move forward. Thank you. How is it placed on a ballot? This is what's very important for us to know. If you decide that we want to participate, it would go to the county level. If you decide you did not want to participate, yet 50% of the districts in Oakland County that control 50% of the student population voted in favor of it, then every district in Oakland County would be impacted because it would be on the ballot for the entire county. So your larger districts such as Rochester, Novi, etc., if they all voted in favor, and if 8 districts voted in favor and they had the majority of the student population and 20 districts voted no, but did not control the majority of the population, it would still be placed on the ballot for the entire county. Move forward. Again, the revenue would be dispersed by law on an equal per pupil basis to each of the local school districts within the ISD, but it's important to note that the ISD would not receive any money or administrative expenses. Move forward. And of course, this is always something very important. We just went to our community and we told them that we were not increasing their taxes when they so graciously supported us with the replacement operating millage. So I'm very reluctant to go back to our community and ask them for anything right now, especially given COVID-19 and the financial impact that we are facing as a state. But if the county decided that they were to put this on the ballot, we would go out and provide accurate factual information, which would include the state equalized value rate. For example, if it was $100,000, the taxable value would be $50,000, and it would be an additional $50 per month for per year in taxes, or the equivalent of $4.17 per month. So again, I just wanted you to be aware. I will provide each of you with this entire presentation to study, because this may be something coming up for vote. Again, it would be before July 7th because they want to place it on the November ballot. Move forward, Ms. Norris. These are some of the counties in southeastern Michigan that have approved an enhancement millage. Macomb, and you see that their mill rate was 1.9 for 10 years. They just approved theirs in March, and it's $418 per pupil. Wayne County had 2 mills. That was approved in November of 2016, and Monroe had $296 per student for 5 years, but they've renewed that 3 times. Next screen. Other counties on a larger scale in Michigan, Kalamazoo, Ottawa, Kent, Muskegon, Midland, and Charlevoix have them as well. And of course, the first step would be the resolution that I asked, that I discussed, not that I asked you to support, because I'm not asking you to support anything at this time, but this would be a copy of what the resolution would look like. And again, it would have to be passed by July 10th. I thought it was the 7th, but it's actually the 10th. So that is where we are. This is being driven by our neighboring school district superintendent and our neighboring school district board president in the event that they reach out to you, that being West Bloomfield. So I just want you to know where this information is originating, and the local superintendents do have a meeting on tomorrow to discuss this item, and I will provide you with additional information at that time. If you have any questions about this that you would like me to lift in the meeting on tomorrow, if you could send me those questions via email, I will definitely ask those questions. That's all from this one, Ms. Norris. We will forward this to all of the trustees.
Any comments, trustees, or questions?
I was just going to ask for the report to be provided, and it sounds like the superintendent is doing that. So thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Yes, that's being sent as we speak. Ms. Norris, if you would move to the next item on the agenda, the task force updates. I currently sit on the county task force as well as the state task force relative to reopening schools. And at the state level, the 6 items that we've decided to focus on relative to returning to school would be that of funding, safety, social emotional supports, flexible instruction, equity throughout the entire state, and flexibility relative to policies, because right now the policies will prevent us from doing anything innovative as we look to build a new platform for the fall. I will keep you posted as the meetings progress. We currently meet every Wednesday and Friday throughout the summer. What will it cost to open schools? This is a report that the American Association of Superintendents put out this week, and according to them, the average additional expense would be close to $1.7 million. And that is for an average school district size. That is not for a district our size, because our district is considered to be a medium-sized district. So this would be for a smaller district. It's also important to note that in addition to these increased expenses, our state is proposing that we receive less funding. So if you think about it in terms of we're taking away $700, possibly taking away $700 per pupil, but we're asking you to spend another $700 to $750 per student. That's really a deficit of $1,500 per student at the state level. So they're not proposing it to us that way, but that is our reality because we have such steep increased expenses, and then of course do not have the funding to cover that. Advance, Ms. Norris. This is what social distancing would look like in the classroom. The space we need essentially would be the size of a football field. The space we have is the size of a classroom to try to keep the six feet apart and limit the number of students in a classroom. We just do not have the physical space to make that happen. So we're trying to work creatively with our partners to see what alternatives we can put in place. Pictures worth 1,000 words. And when it comes to transportation, I am without words. A bus generally seats 50 students. You see these blue dots because the recommendation is that we place 1 student per seat, skipping every other row. That means that a regular bus would only have the capacity for 12 children. In addition, we would have to hire an aide to support taking students' temperatures before they get on the bus. And what do we do if a student, this is a rhetorical question, what do we do if a student is 8 years old and at the bus stop and has an elevated fever, and the monitor is now faced with the question of, do I send this 8-year-old back home, possibly with or without a parent waiting for the child? Or do I place this child on the bus and possibly infect the other students on the bus? So these are some of the things we grapple with right now. I think Trustee Poole has his hand up because right now I'm struggling and I'm open to.
I know, Dr. Green. Now, you're on top of it. I've seen the plan to reopen for the fall in the higher ed arena. And those institutions aren't necessarily faced with the busing piece of it, but they're faced with employees coming in and out of the building. Mm-hmm. Everyone has to come in 6 feet apart, one at a time, and they go through that series of questions. Have you had any symptoms? And they got to answer affirmative to all. Runny nose, cough, sneezing. Have you been in contact with anyone that has had COVID in the last 14 days? Have you traveled on an airplane? Have you visited out of state over the weekend? Have you been to Ohio? And those are all questions they have to answer affirmatively before you let them in the building. Then they have to go to the bathroom, wash their hands, come back, put their gloves on, dust down their bags with the sanitation and the wipes, put on their mask, and go to their office, which they no longer can have people in their office. You can be in your office, but they have to be sitting outside your door to communicate. So you're right on, and these are resources that we don't have unless we're going to look to convert resources to a whole different job description. So I'm glad to see you're talking through these issues, and this is another issue. I mean, we're talking about smaller class sizes, more teachers. Then, what if they have to go to the restroom? Mm-hmm. Temperatures taken.
And to your point, Trustee Poole, if the staff member comes in and has a fever or answers in the negative to any of those questions, we now immediately send that person home.
Absolutely.
As you all know, we already struggle with having enough substitute teachers in our district, in any district throughout Michigan. So how do we get sub coverage at the last moment because we had to send someone home based on the questionnaire? So these are scenarios that we are fighting through each day and trying to look at all the scenarios. The most recent that came up this afternoon, there aren't enough buses physically built. If every school district in America had to quadruple their bus route to accommodate the new CDC guidelines, there aren't enough buses, even if we had the money to pay for it.
Yeah. Now, someone goes out to lunch, they come back, we start that process all over again.
You're correct.
So, Doc, the new normal.
Insanity.
It is.
These mandates that the governor is putting in place, I'm sure they're aware that this is a monumental task. However, are they talking about giving us additional funding to support these changes?
Treasurer Robinson, I wish I could say they were. They are actually talking about taking money away from us and cutting money, not giving us anything extra, but deep cuts to our budget.
Well, we may have to revisit and, like we started last year, cancel busing.
We need to have that conversation.
Yeah.
We need to have a study session to talk about all of the options. And I've asked my team to pull together every scenario possible. If we did regional busing, if we only did special education busing, if we did no busing at all, if we did, every way we can generate money and everywhere that we could possibly reduce. And then the trustees can have that conversation with the entire executive team and we can make an informed collective decision.
You may also want to bring in the our stakeholders on these meetings, so they can see what we're faced with.
Absolutely. we want to know what's important to them, and you'll hear in the stakeholder survey results, some of these questions were included, such as where are your priorities, to give us a starting point, because we didn't want to go into it completely uninformed with no information. So you'll see that coming up in the report that we'll share with the stakeholder survey. Ms. Norris, okay.
Well, Dr. Green, before you leave that,
okay,
just making sure that definitely busing is one key item, and I know we have a variety of other options that we have to talk about. When you show the football field versus the class, the football field versus the classroom, I just want to make sure that you all remember what was told to us. The guidelines that the governor or the government has given to us included students would have to bring their own lunches. They would have to stay in the classroom from beginning to end. So there's a lot of change, and it's going to be hard for younger students to be stuck in a same spot for a number of hours.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be difficult for all students.
Yeah.
We're social beings. We're social beings.
Yeah. So we have to talk about what's the quality of the environment that we're producing. I know from my corporation's perspective, we have already prepared many of those who use technology to utilize technology as opposed to coming back into the building, just due to logistics. I mean, the same spacing and guidelines that we're talking about here, I think that we're working through for our corporation. And if we are challenged, I can't expect for schools to do anything different. So I guess what I'm saying is we have to prepare and look at what's the quality that we're providing, and what's the value add to some of the things that are being proposed or mandated that we do or don't adhere to. So we have a lot of discussion. So when people are asking, well, what's the plan for the fall? We're not trying to not answer that question, but there's just a lot of things that we collectively as a board, from a policy perspective, and Dr. Green from an administration perspective, have to figure out as changes are occurring. So I just want to make sure that people are cognizant that it's not just we're ignoring you or don't have a plan. It's just that we come up with a plan and then it changes due to additional mandate. So just as an FYI. And I see Trustee Poole, but I think Trustee Rice was trying to chime in as well.
Thank you. I think what I would lift into this conversation is that perhaps we may need to have an extended study session. I think this conversation goes along with some of the sentiments that Trustee Charles shared about, sitting down, having such a dialogue to talk about, I'll call it reopening to learning and what that looks like. Here we're seeing some of the things about transportation, we're seeing classroom size. Both of those matters are itemized out in our policies, and do we need to take a look at that? So things like that, and Dr. Green shared that we have some of the data out there being gathered from the community, being able to have that information also to help us with making some of these decisions that need to be made. So I think my ask would be having a space, meaning an extended study session to be able to have the type of dialogue that we need to have. And then my second ask will be the information to help us with making decisions that need to be made, because we see two here that's both policy impacting. And I'm sure there's others.
To your point.
Trustee Poole, then Trustee Robert. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Green.
I was just going to respond to Trustee Rice. To your point, the two presentations that you'll see this evening on the stakeholder survey and the staff survey as of today, we will make those available to you immediately following this call as well, because we want you to have it in real time. This is a new day, as Trustee Poole said. This is our new norm, and none of these decisions can be taken lightly, and we have to work collaboratively and collectively in order to make the best decision for our community and our school district. And it can't be what someone else is doing, because their district and the needs of their children are not the needs of our children. So I just wanted to lift that into the conversation as well. So thank you. We will get that information to you.
No, thank you.
Trustee Poole, then Trustee Robinson.
Yes, thanks, Board President. Dr. Green and I had an emergency drill several months ago as it related to seat belts on the bus. And it was a conversation I was having with a group of people in Lansing who were planning for legislation, safety legislation, on having seat belts in buses. So as you think through your decision on this countywide millage, if they force those mandates typically are not funded. They're typically unfunded mandates. And if they force that one on us, that's going to be another one we need to think about. So just wanted to kind of lift that into the conversation because Dr. Green and I did have an emergency drill several months ago. And it looks like it's probably going to happen. But right now, everyone's talking about COVID, what it does it mean, how we're going to fund it, where's the money going to come from, things of that nature. So keep that in the back of your mind because you know, if you've been on the board any length of time, how these mandates play out.
Trustee Robinson.
Yeah, can we also do a financial and feasibility study on opening up a few of our closed buildings to accommodate some of these students? The old bus on 12 Mile, Brace Letterly, and I know Leonard is probably in disarray because I want to bring that up as well because there are a lot of things happening at Leonard that need to be brought to our attention. They've been brought to my attention by the neighborhood because I'm on the neighborhood block club committee.
Okay, so to your point about the feasibility study, we did have the report from Barton Mallow, and we'll revisit that in the conversation. What we are adding to that is where a lot of the parts from several of the buildings that are offline have been transferred to our buildings that are online. What the district has done for a number of years, instead of purchasing some items, they would take parts, and Scott is on the call and he may need to speak to this. They would take parts from a building offline and repair an item at a different building that was online to ensure that the district did not have to purchase something. So we are assessing every building in the district for that very reason, and we will have all of that information for you. As it pertains to Leonard, I am going to address that at the end because one of our legal counsel has spoken to me relative to that matter, but I do plan on bringing that up.
Okay.
So Dr. Green, just one more point on that, the feasibility study. Just as a FYI to trustees who may not know, many of the furnishings for those buildings no longer exist. So in some cases, they were either moved to buildings or, I believe, given away.
That is absolutely correct. When the buildings were closed, it's my understanding by our operations team that there were semi-trucks that backed up to our buildings, and a lot of our furnishings were donated and or sold off for a nominal fee to neighboring school districts or districts throughout the state. So they're empty. Okay,
now I understand they use Leonard as a storage building as well. So a lot of that, those chairs and tables are stored there.
Leonard is empty right now. The only building that has items would be that of Eisenhower. And right now we have a potential lease for Eisenhower for the 6-week summer program. Again, trying to generate funds for the district.
Okay, so is there information, are there furniture still at Brace Letterly as well?
Brace Letterly is empty.
Oh my, okay.
Brace Letterly is empty, Leonard is empty. The old Busty on 12 is empty. Magnolia, of course, is being utilized by Champions. And then again, Eisenhower, we utilized that for testing when we had to separate our students for the PSAT. You recall last February, I think that was. So that's the only building that has items in that building.
Okay.
But we'll give you a full report as soon as the team completes that. They are working on that as we speak.
Great.
Any other questions or comments, trustees, on this item? There are none. Dr. Green.
Okay. Next item, Ms. Norris. The county health department. One of the things the ISD and the local SUPs wanted was something from the county health department indicating what they supported, because we're not medical doctors and we didn't want to make decisions that were contrary to that of what the health department recommended. So Ms. Norris, if you could pull up the other document that is from the county health department, it has the county logo at the top. We will provide this for all of the trustees as well. It's 10 pages in length. And again, for us to take all of those things into account for the school district and the reopening, it would cost us more than $2 million to make this happen. One good thing that is happening behind the scenes, we are working with some of our partners to see if we can get at least one, if not two nurses in our district at no cost to the district through at least December 31st of 2020, given that there are still so many unknown variables relative to our students' health and them returning in the fall. The other good news that came out of the conversation, Ms. Norris, that's not the one, that's still the enhancement millage. It's the document that has the Oakland County Health Department at the top. We worked with the county health department regarding our 200-day program. You may recall that KLC has a 200-day program, and they were technically scheduled to begin their programming the week after the 4th of July. Well, we recognize as superintendents that many of our districts do not have these health protocols in place because they are still evolving. Therefore, we went to the health department and asked them to co-author a letter to the Michigan Department of Education stating that we needed to keep our 200-day programs offline or online in a virtual setting through the end of the summer, whereas our school year would end on June 30th. We need to at least keep those online for the months of July and August, and they did support us in that. It's also my understanding that Wayne County will send a letter of support for their districts and St. Clair County as well. So we're grateful that our most vulnerable population at KLC will not have to come back into the physical plant in the month of July, and that the county health department did support us in that request. So as you can see with what Ms. Norris has up, there are guiding principles and assumptions. The biggest one that's important for us to note is that school will reopen in the fall. That is the assumption that everyone is making. And when people ask why, it's because schools drive the economy. Parents cannot go to work unless they have a place for their children to go. And school is that place. So everyone is assuming that schools will reopen in the fall, but no one knows what that will look like. We're also assuming that the state will provide flexibility. Again, these are assumptions because we don't have anything that is finite from the state. We are assuming that we will have some flexibility with attendance and leave policies for both staff and students. Trustee Poole, you mentioned this conduct the daily health checks. That would have to occur for the staff and the students. Face covering would be worn by staff and students. And are most essential in times where physical distancing is difficult. Now, here's another thing that we may not have considered. Do we need to change our student code of conduct? Because now we essentially become the mask police. And if a student refuses to wear a mask, do we suspend the child? All of these things have to be taken into account whereby our current student code of conduct doesn't address this, nor does the Michigan compiled laws relative to student discipline address how to handle someone refusing to wear protect PPE in this instance.
Trustee Poole?
Yes, Dr. Green, you're absolutely correct. We're probably going to have to update our policies to align with the law as well.
And then we have a certain subset of students that for health reasons can't wear masks. And that gets into a gray area because you're now violating a student's HIPAA if asked why that student doesn't have to wear a mask, but all other students have to wear a mask. There are just so many unknown variables relative to how this rolls out. We have to be very strategic and intentional and mindful of every decision we make. If a teacher were to take ill, or if I were to take ill and not in the district for a couple days, everyone would assume that it was COVID related. So then now you have students that may go around and say, it's just, how do we protect all of our stakeholders?
Trustee Poole.
Yeah, and what if Dr. Green has to take a trip out of state for our conference or a COVID CARES Act update? That's something, can we let her back into the building, back into her office?
Self-quarantine. I'd have to self-quarantine upon my return.
That's
All
right.
these are variables that we have to take into account.
And don't come in contact with someone that's had it within the last 14 days, because you then have to go into quarantine. So, Doc, I'm with you. This is exactly what I've been seeing, what I've been hearing, and some of the discussions I've had with members of the statewide task force that I've had conversations with. So you're right on the mark.
So this is part of my sleepless nights, and we will continue to have these ongoing dialogues. Ms. Norris, if you could just scroll through, I'm not going to go through everything in detail, but it does have some recommendations for policies and procedures. To your point, Trustee Rice, I will forward this back out to all of you. And again, when we have that study session, we can talk about all of this in greater detail. It's 10 pages in length. So it's not something that we can gloss over. We truly have to dig into this and tear it apart and look at what this would mean for us as a district. Okay, take that back down, Ms. Norris. Thank you.
I just want to add one other thing, Dr. Green, too. We haven't even gotten to tracing. So who's going to do the tracing?
And who's going to train everyone on the contact tracing? One of the things that came up this past spring when we first started experiencing COVID cases, we were to contact the health department. Well, actually, we were told that the health department would contact us, and they never contacted us regarding any case. Therefore, we reached out to them only to find that they were so backed up that they were not either doing the contact tracing or they were doing it but could not get back to the school districts to let us know where the tracing led them. So to your point, Trustee Poole, there are a lot of unknown variables here that we have to concern ourselves with at this time.
All because of a man-made disease. That's pathetic.
Go to the next screen. Reopening of schools, we've been having that ongoing conversation. I think now is the time we're going to go to the survey results. Ms. Norris, I think that is the next one. Yep. So the survey results, which would be first, is that of, I think, the community or the staff. Okay. Either one is fine. Whichever one you have up. Okay, stakeholder feedback. Mr. Ingram, if you could unmute and share with our trustees the results of our stakeholder feedback.
Good evening, trustees. Laura, can you advance, please? So first question is, if instruction is approved for the fall, which statement best represents your position on returning your child to school? 44% said yes, 39% are undecided, only 17% want virtual learning only. Next slide, please. If the school day was shortened, would your family need before and after care, such as champions? 45% said no, 21% said maybe, 17% said yes, and 17% had no response. Is your family in need of technology to support distance learning, such as a Chromebook or internet connection? 83% said no. Next slide, please, Laura. Is your family in need of food assistance that you're currently not receiving? 92% said no. Next slide, please, Laura. If the school day was shortened, would your family need transportation? We only had 267 responses to this question. 58% said no, 42% said yes. How would you describe the quantity of work being asked by your child's instructors at this time? 71% said the virtual learning instruction is just right, 18% said too much, 10% said too little. How would you describe the quality of distance learning provided by your child's instructor at this time? 81% are pleased, 11% said too difficult, 80% said too easy. How would you describe the quality of support services you have received at this time? We only received 224 responses to this question. 65% said just right, 33% said need a little more support, and the remaining said too much. And does your student qualify for special services such as an IEP? 76% said no, 24% said yes. That is all the feedback we have as of June 1st.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. It's important to note that with over 5,000 plus, close to 6,000 students in our district, we only had responses from 953. So that gives us a starting point. However, we definitely have to continue to garner more feedback from the community because that's not a representative sample of everyone within our community. So again, it gives us a starting point. But we will continue to gather information by way of survey, by way of having virtual focus group meetings. And then we'll try to break those focus group meetings by building and by grade level. So focused on the elementary children, the middle school children, and then the high school students, because we know all of their needs are different. Switching now to the staff survey.
Before we get too far on that one, do we have any questions on or comments on that survey? Any trustee?
Board President, I was going to ask what the population size is, but Dr. Green's already shared that information.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And Trustee Rice, I know you want a copy of this, but we're gonna make sure we send that to everyone this evening as well. So.
Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Green.
No problem. We're gonna move next to the staff survey, and Ms. Jolene Davis will share those results with you this evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to see everyone, even though it's virtually. We reached out to our staff survey, and actually the survey is still open. So as of June 8th, these are the results that we received. We actually submitted out 14 questions, with the 14th question being a total open-ended question where it asks what other things have not addressed by our survey. So the first thing that we wanted to garner was out of all of our groups that are actually a staff member who were answering the questions. And out of the 387 responses, we found that at least 71% was the SEA group, which is the School Education Association group. The additional 13% was the unaffiliates. The Masb consisted of 10% of the other groups, and 3% of ESOS and SASA were the other two that responded to our survey. We were going to actually send out a reminder announcement to please fill out the survey, as only 387 responses had been filled out as of today. Please advance. The second question that we sent out was whether or not you understand what is expected of me in maintaining a healthy and safe environment at work. So we found that 65% were answered yes to this question, but there was still an additional 34% that did not understand what was included in having a safe environment. So with that in mind, that we're going to send out some information as it relates to communicating and having some meetings going forward before we reopen up, come back to our brick and mortar buildings. Another question that we sent out in our survey was, I am comfortable returning to my work site, whether it's at office, a school facility, or partner locations. And we were happy to see that at least 51% were comfortable returning back. But yet there were at least 48%, which is almost half of the population, was not comfortable out of the 387 who responded to this. Please forward. What we also found in the survey, just seeing if individuals were involved in public transportation, would they be comfortable coming to work via public transportation? Well, we found that 81% of our environment does not utilize public transportation. But out of those who do utilize transportation, 15% were not comfortable with public transportation, while only 3% were. So the next question that we asked was whether or not, what is your greatest concern related to returning to our school buildings? Was it the spread of COVID-19? Was it the school protocol to ensure safety and health concerns? Was it social emotional concerns, or was it the social distancing? And we found that 77% answered all of the above. So the majority of our stakeholders, as it relates to our staff members, are concerned about all the above, whether it's the spread of COVID-19, is the school protocol to ensure safety and health concerns, social emotional concerns, and social distancing. So we found that the spread of COVID-19 actually came in top of all the ones that were ranked. So then we also asked our staff, so what is it that you would like? Would you prefer, if you had an opportunity and option to choose, would you like to work virtually from home? And we found that 57% of our staff answered yes to that. While 23% basically said not applicable. So in that case, it doesn't matter to them whether they work from home or they work from a building. And 19% of our staff members that answered the survey were not comfortable working in a virtual environment or had the preference. We also asked about coming back in August in 2020. So what would work best for you? Would you prefer to work in a hybrid situation? Would you prefer to work all virtually? Or would you prefer to work only in a brick and mortar? And hybrid situation would mean that possibly some individuals will work 2 days a week at home, 3 days in the building, or they would work a half a shift. So it varies on which way that they would work. And so we found that in asking that question, 56% found that they would prefer the hybrid environment. And 28% would like to go totally virtually and just stay at home 5 days a week. And 15% were comfortable and work best coming to the building 5 days a week. So the other thing that we did is we asked a few other questions. And so we asked, what other concerns did you have? And so some of the questions that we received from that was, what is my employment status for the next school year? We normally send out assignment letters, but due to our status right now, we're trying to wait to see what their staffing will look like. So will the district provide PPE to all staff? So these are questions that were coming up that occurred multiple times within our survey. When will staff and students be allowed back in the buildings to retrieve personal items? Will there be scheduling, flexibility for staff members with school-aged children whose learning schedules may directly conflict with their Southfield Public Schools work schedule? How often will district buildings be cleaned and sanitized? And what is the daily cleaning process? Will the district address the ventilation and HVAC issues at older buildings prior to returning? Will the district provide more training for the virtual learning and working environments for staff, students, and parents? And then the last but not least for this survey, what works for one building grade level may not work for another. Will district and staff members from various position locations be asked to help develop the action plan? So to quickly just give you an answer to some of these questions, we do believe in involving our whole community and working with the plan. We're trying to work on a framework, and once we get our framework done, we plan to involve stakeholders into our plan to make sure that everybody has a say in interactions and what we're going to do going forward. As it relates to whether the district will provide training, we're working on something so that not only can we possibly provide training to our students and training to our staff, but we're also going to have parents learn more and be able to work alongside their students, alongside their children as well. How often will the buildings be cleaned? Well, that's actually going to be part of our plan. And currently right now, what we do is have a process that very few people go in our buildings currently, but if they do, we make sure they go behind and clean all the locations that individuals go to. Will there be schedule flexibility for staffing members? Those are all things that we're looking at in our plan and trying to figure out how we can be flexible to make sure not to only accommodate our students, but also to work with our staff. When will staff and students be allowed back into the building to retrieve personal items? We're actually going through a process right now where the plan is going out that the principals are setting up schedules so that staff can return to their buildings to be able to clean out their classrooms and help students retrieve their personal items. Will the district provide PPE to all staff? Part of our plan. What is our employment status for next year? It'll be forthcoming. So those are the questions.
Jolene, if I could just jump in. One of the things that we have continued to state to our team is that we are working very diligently to try to keep everyone whole. We are not proposing any layoffs at this time. We are hopeful that we can continue to realize some sort of savings through attrition and people retiring. We're also very realistic that as we get closer to the return date, we're going to have some other people retiring and or resigning when they are faced with whether or not they have to come back to a brick and mortar. So our staffing will continue to be fluid to some degree as we move through this process. We also have to be mindful, and Trustee Poole, this kind of touches on what you mentioned earlier. If a staff member is exposed and or their own child is exposed, now that parent who is our staff member would have to stay home with their child in quarantine for 14 days. And if they live in another district or in another county and they're on half-day schedule or every other day schedule, but we're expecting them to come to our district for employment every day or Wednesday, Thursday, it just creates a conundrum of decisions that have to be made.
Yeah, Dr. Green, and you raise a very valid point. And I, with people retiring, I foresee the fall, hopefully, we'll probably need more additional resources. As I see, we're going to have smaller classrooms by design. And with smaller classrooms mean more teachers, more staff, more custodians, more actions of sanitation. And what about, if we have high schoolers that are going from class to class, every hour? Are we going to have to go in and prep that class before students go back into it?
Not to mention the one-way hallways and the plexiglass between urinals in the bathroom. And if a student has to touch a sink to turn on the faucet and then washes their hands, and then they go to turn off the faucet, is their hand now re-exposed because they touched the same lever to turn on the faucet? Do we have paper towel dispensers that are all automatic, or are they expected to touch those? What are the protocols? You can't have a monitor in the bathroom with children. That's a violation. So these are all just a few of the questions that we're grappling with at this time.
Any other questions or comments from trustees? Hearing none. Dr. Green, next topic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Moving back to the agenda, just a couple quick updates. Of course, we still have our farm to families happening with our produce. We have now added another element. We are grilling hot dogs and giving away bottled water for our families. That seems to be a real hit. That is on Friday the 12th from 9 to 1. We also are looking to add another element to our farm to families, which will be a dairy distribution. That will be on Fridays as well. And that will be giving away 2 gallons of 2% milk. You will get 2 14-ounce containers of chocolate milk, strawberry milk, sour cream, cottage cheese, onion dip, and cream cheese. So we're looking to continue to build the resources that we're providing to our families. So very pleased to have that being added as another layer of support. You can advance, ma'am. Head Start Director's Report.
Okay, I have that. Muncie Center for Early Childhood Education, June 20th, Director's Report. Enrollment for May 2020. Head Start, 160 out of 160. Early Head Start, 16 out of 16. GSRP, 45 out of 48. Child Adult Care Food Program, month of May 2020. No meals served as a result of pandemic and executive order to close school. The program still partnered with Forgotten Harvest through Friday, June 5th, 2020. Children transitioning to kindergarten were able to pick up yard signs, a certificate, and backpack on Friday, June 5th. Program is required to develop and implement a COVID-19 preparedness and response plan. Must include the following: how you will monitor symptoms of COVID-19, how your program practices social distances as developmentally appropriate, how you will ensure hygiene, including regular cleaning and disinfecting, how you will use safety equipment, including PPE when appropriate, communication protocol for families to report symptoms or a positive test, and policies on when children will be excluded from care, isolation procedures in case of symptoms or confined cases on site, how to maintain required staff to child ratio in the event that a staff member becomes ill, set up hand sanitizer stations at interest point in building, it is recommended, establish policy for face masks for both staff and children. At this juncture, face masks are not being required for children to wear. Staff must be trained in COVID-19 and how it is transmitted. Child adult ratio, Head Start mandates each classroom must have 2 teachers. Recommends group be below 10. However, you may have to continue to follow licensing guidelines on ratio. Please note that Head Start requires you to follow your state licensing guidelines. Since this is not currently mandated by licensing, not sure if Head Start will pay for extra teachers as a result of opening extra classroom. Recommends eliminating use of playground equipment. Now, I need to question Ms. Hill on this. Why are we doing this? Is this a Head Start mandate, or this is just her recommendation?
Trustee Robinson, if I could comment on that, that is a recommendation that's coming out of the CDC. They're stating that we should limit the number of students on playground equipment due to the sanitation of the equipment, and also they are mandating that we keep students in a small cohort. So if we send students outside, they're requesting that they play with the same group of children each and every day if you decide to do that. So again, it's one of those restrictive policies or restrictive recommendations that is coming out of the CDC.
Okay, because I'm just thinking that's going to be very difficult to keep those children confined inside the building every day.
You're absolutely correct. One of the things that we are doing as an administrative team, executive team, and I open it up to the trustees as well, we are doing a book study, doing less, better, because we really need to hone in on what it is we're going to be doing in the fall and focus on doing all of those things well versus trying to be everything for everyone. So if the trustees are interested at the end of your report, please let us know and we will add you to that book study as well.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
President?
Yes.
I have a question.
Trustee Rice. Sure.
Yeah. So FERS is a statement. I'm quite surprised to see as part of the policy, currently at this junction, there's no masks that are required. I'll just make that statement. My inquiry that I have is around the earlier part of the report where it indicates that no meals have been served, and looks like a partnership has been established with Forgotten Harvest starting this week. Does that mean that we will be distributing meals? I guess because my concern would be not in those funds not being dispensed that way, and us potentially having a carryover at the end of the school semester. So that's part of my inquiry that I have.
The current guidance provided to us by the Michigan Department of Education afforded the district an opportunity to provide meals for anyone in our community 18 or less, or 26 or younger with an IEP. So we have been providing meals for those students that wish to have those meals. There are no meals being served at the Bussey Center every day as outlined here, and Forgotten Harvest has been doing meals to our families every other Friday at the Bussey Center. So they have been receiving meals. It's just that we are not directly serving meals to these families, and that's what's outlined in the report.
And this Forgotten Harvest has been an ongoing program year after year. It's nothing new. They've always provided additional foods to families on two Fridays out of the month. So that's been ongoing.
Right. And then those families are also getting food from our produce as well as from our pop-up distribution sites throughout the district where they receive the 14 meals. So we've included them in that process as well.
Okay. So it sounds like the funds isn't impacted for us to potentially have a carryover at the end.
No.
Correct.
Okay. Gym must be clean and sanitized between each group. Touchless trash cans must do this. Temperature checks of all staff and children upon arrival. If temperature is above 100.4, child must be excluded from care. That's going to be another issue. How do you relay that to the parent if the child is left there and then the parent has to go to work? But child care staff are part of Michigan's essential workforce, so they are eligible to be tested for COVID-19. Stagger start pickup times. I can see this has been another issue with parents. Eliminate items from home. Program will provide blankets for children. We have those donated from Sweet Dreams. Identify key staff persons who will handle questions and report out about COVID-19. Enrollment update. The program is continuing to enroll families for the upcoming program year. Family service workers complete the application in our data management system, Child Plus. To date, we have virtually enrolled 73 potential families. Bussey will provide our children transitioning to kindergarten a 4-week virtual summer program. Through the CARES Act, BUSSY has been awarded one-time funding of $126,000 to use toward the virtual summer program, as well as related expenses as a result of the COVID-19. And that's a good thing. CARES funding guidance. Many states and localities implemented stay-at-home or shelter-in-place orders to combat the spread of COVID-19 in March, April, and May, resulting in an unprecedented closure of Head Start program across the country. Federal, state, and local officials are issuing new guidance on how communities will reopen in the coming weeks and months, and decisions could shift based on emerging data. Office of Head Start recognizes grantees will need flexibilities to carefully plan reopening Head Start and early Head Start program while adhering to state and local guidance. Even with the best of planning, grantees may not be able to anticipate all needs and challenges that will arise over time. Because grantees cannot predict with certainty when programs can safely open. Office of Head Start wants to ensure CARES Act funds are awarded in a manner that supports grantees' operation of supplemental summer program while maintaining flexibility to repurpose those funds for other one-time activities related to COVID-19 if needed. To achieve this, Office of Head Start has updated their funding guidance to fully distribute CARES Act funds by formula based on each grantee's funded enrollment. This will allow our grantees to be nimble and modify their spending plans as necessary based on state and local guidance. It will also mitigate the risk of either a substantial delay or unbalanced distribution of funding if a significant portion is separately awarded for the sole purpose of summer programs and some grantees are not able to operate during the summer as intended. Grantees planning to operate summer programs are expected to continue to move forward with those plans if able to do so. Further, grantees that were not planning to operate summer programs now have the flexibility to do so. Summer programs are critical to offset losses in learning opportunities and comprehensive services due to program closures resulted from COVID-19. Grantees that are able to operate should continue to make every effort to prioritize: one, enroll children who are projected to enter kindergarten at the beginning of the 2020-21 school year, and two, enroll children with an individualized education program, IEP. Summer programs are still expected to provide the full range of comprehensive services to the extent possible, with a focus on preparing children for the incoming school year. Each Head Start expansion, birth to 3, applications are due to the Office of Head Start in August 2020. Awards will be announced in March 2021. Self-assessment update, quality education and child development services. The program will form a collaboration with the district's kindergarten teachers to ensure program understand the expectation of kindergarten readiness. Programs will meet with kindergarten teachers quarterly. The program will cover the cost of the substitute for collaborative meetings. The program has ordered kindergarten brigades screening that will be conducted on all children transitioning to kindergarten. Individualized planning form will be revised to ensure the plans are aligned to the school readiness goals as well as the assessment tools used. Monitoring and implementing quality health service. Mental health contractors have been identified and funding has been established to support services. Monitoring IRSA. IRSA procedures are being modified to ensure those families with a greater need are receiving services. The program is currently working with STG International grantee support and revising procedure. This is the end of the Head Start report. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Trustee Robinson. Any questions, trustees?
Can we make sure to have a copy of that if we don't already?
Absolutely. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. That's great. Was there anything else that you want to add?
had to take off the mute. I did want to address the one thing that Trustee Robinson stated relative to Leonard. We have gotten a number of complaints from some of the community members regarding Leonard. Many of those items are not school district issues. They are policing issues. We've asked one of our attorneys to look into it, and our attorney has drafted a tentative letter back to the Homeowners Association. We've also had a number of conversations with those complainants relative to their specific complaints. Our team goes over to ensure that that property is kept clean and maintained as we are required to do by law. We've also worked very closely with the inspectors relative to that property. So again, we are very mindful of our obligation in all of our buildings, and we are making a concerted effort to keep it properly maintained. We cannot control adults that go onto our property when we are not in session. We wouldn't be able to control that if we were at an occupied building or an unoccupied building. However, we do put forth an effort to make sure that we keep it clean, and we are working with our police department to make sure that it is properly patrolled.
There used to be, a fence that blocks the driveway from the back of the parking lot. And I noticed, I went over that the other day because I received several phone calls because I'm on the Block Club committee. And they have broken that chain down so cars are able to go in the back at night and sit and do whatever. And that's the problem. If we can block that entrance so no cars can enter the back of the building and where the playground is, that would be a big help, because that way cars will not be able to go in the back and stay all night and do whatever they do, play loud music, smoke weed or whatever, because I've gotten complaints about that. And they will not also break the glasses on the doors at the back and the back. And you cannot see that from the main entrance.
Thank you for that information.
Action items. As I mentioned earlier on, I was running the program, so some of you all couldn't hear me. Trustee Smith Thomas had a family emergency, is not here on this evening. So as a result, she won't be capturing the minutes for this meeting, and I will be doing it in her absence. So the chair will entertain a motion to open and approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
I heard Brother Poole has made the motion. Trustee Joyce, did you second?
I second. Betty Robinson.
Oh, Betty Robinson. Okay, thank you, Trustee Robinson. It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve the consent agenda. Any questions or comments?
No.
Hearing none. Trustee Joyce.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Rice.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Poole.
Yes.
Myself, yes. 6-0, motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve Report 5885, Video Production Services Agreement.
I move that we open report number support.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Trustee Joyce.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes. Did you hear me?
She said yes.
Myself, yes. 6-0, motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion.
Board President.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you didn't call Trustee.
I did, actually.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I'm sorry, Trustee Rice, what was your vote?
Yes. And Board President, I apologize. After you record her yes vote, I'm multitasking as usual and have an email from our students. our board members. They were trying to get on earlier and they said they just figured out how to get on. So I was wondering if Ms. Norris could look, or if you could look and see if Ariel and Madison were on the call, because they did make a concerted effort to be here with you this evening.
Okay. So 6-0, motion carried. One moment.
Oh, I see Ariel. Perfect.
And I'm sorry, who was the other one that? Madison. Well, while I'm trying to find Madison, wants to give Ariel the opportunity to speak.
Miss Ariel, if you could take your mic off.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, Ariel.
Oh, okay. I was just sorry. I had trouble getting connected at first. My power had went out for some reason. But yes, I was just wondering what I probably missed about if anything was said about student representatives.
Actually, this was our opportunity to thank you for serving this year, and unfortunately for the transition you had to make when the school district went online to a platform. You didn't have an opportunity to complete the year of service, but we're grateful for the service that you did provide. So if you can share with us what your plans are for the summer and or next year.
Oh yes, I would be going to MSU in the fall, which would be really great. During the summer, hopefully, I'm trying to get a job that will allow me to have some tuition reimbursement, and hopefully take some core classes at OCC before I go to MSU. Can you hear me?
Vaguely.
If others could mute their microphones so that we can hear Ariel. Okay, Ariel, you should unmute so that you can speak. Okay, perfect.
Oh, okay. I was saying I'm supposed to be going to MSU in the fall, and so yeah, during the summer I'm gonna try to stay busy with trying to find a job that will allow me to have tuition reimbursement, and then also take some core classes at OCC before I go to MSU.
Well, on behalf of the trustees and the board, we thank you for your service. We wish you well in your future endeavors, and we know that the foundation that was established here in Southfield will serve you well in all that you pursue. So again, good luck.
Thank you.
Now, Dr. Green, I don't see Madison in the attendee list.
Ariel, your email indicated that Madison was trying to get on as well. Is that no longer accurate?
Yeah, she did get on for a moment. I don't know if she left off.
Okay.
I sent her a text message to try to get back on. I don't know if she's seen it for sure.
Okay. Well, trustees, I also wanted to highlight the fact that per your request last year, we did order stoles for our student board reps, and we have those stoles available for them, those that are graduating seniors. So when they come through the diploma processional and now up on the stage, they will receive their stoles to adorn their regalia.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
I see someone's hand, but I can't see where it's coming from. It looks like Trustee Robinson. I'm sorry.
Oh, Trustee Robinson, did you have something you wanted to say?
Your mic is on mute, Trustee Robinson.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, we normally give the students a gift at the end of the year. So will we be doing that and giving it to them as they during graduation, except for the 11th grader? The board always give them a gift at the end of the year, show their appreciation for being a student board rep.
We will definitely check into that. I can't guarantee that we will have that gift in this short amount of time. However, we will make sure that before they go off to their post-secondary studies, they will receive that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve Report 5887, non-voted bond projects, architect recommendation.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve 5887. Any questions?
No.
Hearing none. Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Rice.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yolanda, you there?
I'm here. The vote for me is yes.
Thank you. Trustee Poole. Trustee Joyce.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carried, 6-0. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve Report 5888, Talent Management Personnel Action Report.
So move.
Support.
Moved and seconded. Any questions?
Not a question, but a comment. A few of us were there, but I just want to just say thank you to all of our retirees who were recognized last Wednesday. Ms. Robinson's giving me a look like I'm distorted. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now.
Distorted, but I'm going to repeat back what I heard you say. Trustee Charles wanted to acknowledge the retirees who retired this past Wednesday and wanted to wish them well in their retirement.
Great.
Any other comments? Hearing none. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I echo those sentiments as well.
Oh, thank you. Trustee Rice.
Yes.
Yes. Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Poole.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Joyce.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carried, 6-0. Informational reports, Dr. Green.
Thank you, Board President. We have
Dr. Green, you have to unmute yourself. I muted all.
I'm sorry, I'm going to get a shirt that says I'm muted because we seem to do that quite often. But we're working through it. We have Director Hill on the line. She's going to speak to these reports as they pertain to Head Start. But I would like to add for the record as a point of clarification relative to the funding sources for the meals that have been provided for Head Start babies. They were funded out of the CACFP program until the school closed. And then after the school closure, they were funded out of the unanticipated school closure funds from the state. So just to ensure that our records are accurate, that is the funding source. Okay. Director Hill. Good evening.
Good evening. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Green. Good evening, board members, community. So just to speak to the information item regarding the handbook for staff, there have been some policies that were updated based on our feedback from our community needs assessment and self-assessment. And that is a requirement that the board approve the handbook all the policies and procedures contained, as well as the policy council. So I was trying to provide you with those policies and procedures for you to look over and see if there were any questions that you had pertaining to them.
Trustees, any questions for Director Hill? Thank you. Director Hill, please proceed.
Ms. Robinson was talking.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're muted, Betty.
I'm going to get everyone a shirt that says I'm muted.
All right, let me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can now.
Okay. My question to Ms. Hill is this the final copy that will be sent to the Office of Head Start?
So actually, that does not have to be sent to the Office of Head Start. We are just required as part of the Head Start performance standards, as well as our licensing guideline, to have policies and procedures in place for staff, but it does not have to go to the Office of Head Start. We just have to make sure when we are monitored or audited that we are able to provide them with a copy of the policies and procedures as we're mandated by the Head Start performance standards as well as licensing.
Okay. The reason I asked is because I found a couple of grammatical errors in here, and I didn't want you to send that out to Chicago without making that correction. But I'll text them to you, my findings.
Okay, it is in a draft form. I will, we're currently working on it and still, so it will, of course, those corrections will be made, but thank you very much for sharing that information.
No problem.
Are there any additional questions as it pertains to the staff handbook policies and procedures? Okay, so the next piece for information is the technology. And we are requesting to purchase some technology for staff, laptops as well as iPads, because a lot of our laptops that we purchased are probably, I think the last big purchase was maybe about 7 years ago. And Ron said that those laptops are old and they will not take the Windows 10. So we need to purchase some laptops as well as some iPads. And so that purchase will, of course, be over the threshold of $5,000. And that's why we were bringing that information to the board for you to review and then hopefully approve at the next board meeting.
Any questions on this item, trustees?
Yeah, I have one.
Yep.
Ms. Hill, well, is that included in the grant that you just submitted recently? The cost of those computers, was that included in the grant?
No, it was not. We're going to be using funds from the COVID-19 to purchase extra technology.
Okay.
That is some guidance that we got from the Office of Head Start, and we can purchase technology from COVID-19 one-time funds, and so that'll be coming from that funding source.
So you have enough in that funding to accommodate all the computers you need?
Yes, ma'am. We have that funding is $126,000 that we were awarded, that one-time funding.
Okay.
And so some of that, of course, is going to be for our virtual summer program, and then some other will be to purchase additional items as related to COVID-19.
Okay, I see it here. Okay.
Thank you.
Director Hill, any other items?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director
Thank you.
Hill. Board President, the next item on the agenda is that of the resolution that was sent to everyone in support of a safe, healthy, and district-specific reopening process. The American Association of Superintendents did draft a resolution where all of the superintendents are asking the federal government to provide us with adequate funding to ensure that we are able to support a safe opening. We as superintendents are asking all of our trustees to join us in this resolution to ensure that they hear our collective voice and ask our federal government to provide the funding necessary for us to do so. So it's an information item right now. However, if you wish to move it to action, I would greatly appreciate it so that we can have our voice heard sooner rather than later.
First, trustees, are there any questions on this item?
No.
Is there any desire to make this an actionable item?
I move that we approve Report 5891, the resolution in support of a safe, healthy, district-specific reopening process informed by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention.
Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any additional questions? Hearing none. Myself, yes. Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Rice?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Trustee Poole?
Yes.
Unanimous, motion carried.
Thank you all. We are extremely grateful for your support. The next item on the agenda is the MASB membership renewal. That came up in conversation earlier today. I believe that they sent you all a notice letting you know that our membership was up for renewal. So that is our annual membership report.
Absolutely.
Again, it's information first. So if you wish to entertain moving it to action, if not, it will come back on the 23rd.
Board President.
Yep.
I'd like to move that we open and approve Report 5892, the Michigan Association of School Boards 2021 membership renewal.
Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve Report 5892. Any additional questions? Hearing none. Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Rice?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Trustee Poole?
Mr. Poole?
Trustee Poole?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Myself, yes. Motion carried. Unanimous.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next item on the agenda is the notice requirement for meetings of public bodies for the 2021 school year. Again, this is our annual notice to our community, letting them know that our meetings are the second Tuesday of every month with study sessions on the fourth Tuesday. Right now, that is what we believe will happen next year, unless we learn something different as we continue to move through the COVID-19 process. So at this time, to remain compliant, we are recommending to the trustees that we post our meetings for public bodies.
Any questions, trustees?
I'm sure it goes without saying, but a couple of times we did have the dates fall in just weird timing. I did take a look at the dates earlier. The only one I was curious about, again, I'm sure you've already vetted this, but the April 13th. So yeah, just as long as things aren't falling on vacations for staff and that kind of thing, I just wanted to make sure we looked at that.
Yeah, I think April 13th, the biggest impact that day will be testing. That may be an SAT testing day, but that would not impact us having a meeting that evening, but that would be a state test unless something else happens. So right now I'm asking that we all keep an open mind because this is still very fluid, but short of that happening, this would be our standard schedule.
What about the July meeting?
We never post the July or August meeting on the annual posting. It always begins with the September meeting. We looked back at the last 5 years.
Okay.
Even though we meet in July and August, you don't post it?
It has never been posted on the annual notification. We do post it in accordance with the Open Meetings Act each time we do meet, but in terms of the annual notice, it only incorporates the months of September through that of June.
Okay.
I'd be in favor, so we don't keep kicking this July can. If we could just put it on here. I'm not so concerned about August because a lot of times we meet on a Saturday. Well, typically because it's a retreat.
Right.
But for the good order, and I know Trustee Smith Thomas would be championing. I don't want to speak for her, but I certainly think she would be echoing the sentiments.
Oh, I'm sorry. The ask is to.
I'm sorry, Board President, if I may, the board doesn't always typically meet in July and or August. And if you do, it's not considered a regular board meeting. It is a special board meeting. So this annual notice that we are required to post is inclusive of the regular board meetings only, not the special board meetings.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, what actually, I think what Yolanda is saying is according to our bylaws, and that's what Leslie has vehemently discussed, that we do in our bylaws, it states that we must meet in July and August, 12 months. And maybe it's not for the staff to attend, but it is a regularly scheduled board meeting. So that's in our bylaws.
So I completely agree that it's in the bylaws. So that would be considered a special meeting, not considered a regular meeting under the Open Meetings Act as required. So that is in addition to what we are required to do by the state. So it would be considered as a special board meeting, not the regular meeting, and would not necessarily have to go on the annual report.
Gotcha.
It would be posted under OMA.
Okay.
All right. So what's the board's pleasure at this time? Leave it informational or act on it now?
I'm leaning towards informational. I think we could still get this in on the 23rd meeting.
Okay, cool. Next item.
Next item is the food service contract. So actually, trustees, you've already approved the renewal of the food service contract for SFE for another year. This is for informational to let you know that now the state of Michigan has reviewed the contract and they too have endorsed SFE to be our food service provider for another fiscal year. So that is why that is on the report this evening.
Any questions, trustees? Okay. Next item.
The next item is 5895 landscaping and snow and ice removal contract. As we discussed last meeting, we had a number of people submit proposals. There was a first iteration of interviews, at which time two of our trustees had an opportunity to listen in and both provided me with some individual feedback. The second round of interviews consisted of the team as well as Vice President Joyce. They were the top 4 candidates. We took into account the bid. We took into account the experience that they had in terms of working with school districts. And we also took into account the board policies, which speak to having a Michigan-based company. And something that many of you trustees have listed in the past is that we wanted to give minority businesses an opportunity. Therefore, of the 4 finalists, there was 1 minority company. And given that it's only going to be a 1-year contract, the team is recommending that we go with Payne Landscaping for this contract for this year.
Any questions, trustees? So I guess I will ask for the board to act on this one because we need folks to keep the grass cut over the summer.
I would concur.
I move that we approve this. I don't have the number in front of me.
5895.
5895 as an action item.
Support.
Okay. Any additional questions? Okay, hearing none. Trustee Joyce. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. You had a
One
question.
question. What would the effective date be? The effective start date?
Technically, it would be July 1st. However, we've spoken with the company and asked that they can come in as soon as the 15th because our team has been doing a yeoman's job in keeping up the ground in the interim. So we would love to have our team back on some of our other building projects as soon as possible.
Okay. Trustee Joyce.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Rice.
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Poole.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimous.
Board President, the next item does not have a number because this is actually, again, a secondary piece of a recommendation that was already approved by the trustees as it pertains to the emergency access road and the storage tank. You approved Barton Mallow to conduct those interviews, given that it required a high level of knowledge relative to the environment, and they had to bring in the additional contractors to ensure that we were meeting all the EPA standards. They now have a formal recommendation on who should do the work for the emergency access road and the storage tank recommendation. So that is what you will see there. It will need a vote in order to support their recommendation. However, you don't see the initial report number because it's tied back to the report that was the initial approval for Barton Mallow.
Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion.
I have a question before we do. You want me to do the motion? I'm a question first.
Sure.
Okay. They listed 4 different companies. Which one did they choose to use? Because all the prices are different.
Mr. Toko, I believe you're on the line as well as Mr. Ingram, but Mr. Toko, you can probably speak to this best. Take your mic off. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, we chose the recommendation from Barton Mallow. Mr. Ingram and myself were on the interviews. The recommendation was based on we did contact references for the lowest bid, and the references did not come back like we wanted to. We would want them to make a motion for them. So we went with the second one, which Barton Mallow has worked with also, and came highly recommended in regards to their references.
Is that Cordis Brothers?
Yes, it's the second company, not the first. Or it was not. It's not. It's sorry. I don't have it the document in front of me.
That screen. Can you scroll back? Who's on the screen in here? That.
Ms. Norris is on the screen. If you could expand that, Ms. Norris, so that we can see that a little bit better, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. So, Mr. Toker, you were saying that Cordis Brothers is the one that you guys selected?
You know what? We were on the fuel road. We were on the architect.
So trustees, until we have clarification, I'm going to ask that we postpone this recommendation so that I can have Barton Mallow here to explain, because this is a very technical process and I don't want us to misspeak. So if we could table this, Board President, until the 23rd, I'd greatly appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay. Bill Disbursement Report.
Good evening again, trustees. In May, we had 6.7 million in disbursements. This consisted of payroll, 2.8 million, covering 2 payrolls. Accounts payable, we have 1.9 million, primarily related to the general fund and food service. In wires and ACH, we had another 1.9 million, primarily for the State of Michigan Office of Retirement Services. Are there any questions?
moving so fast. Where does the senior graduation funding lie? Which report? Or is this listed?
That would be, that would not be on this report.
Okay.
Those are in the student reports, the student account reports, and we generally do not report out on the student activity accounts, and they're no longer called student activity accounts. Josie, I know you're on the line as well. You converted all of those over. What is the new name for those accounts? Take yourself off mute, Josie.
I'm trying. Couldn't find it. I'm sorry. Those are now called fiduciary funds. They're student fiduciary funds, and they now reside on the ledger of the district's books. So we can add those if you'd like, because they are auditable or subject to audit, I should say. And those funds reside on the fiduciary the fiduciary funds.
Yeah,
it's a totally new separate fund.
Okay. As long as you show them, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Josie. If you would.
It's Yolanda.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Trustee Charles.
I am just checking my, emails when you do a search, and I'm just trying to make sure we're all on the same page about the bill summary email. I'm not sure the cadence that it comes. Is it once a month, or is it before each regular? Well, I guess that would be once a month if it was before each general meeting. Just for some clarification, because I know we were doing one thing, then we changed it, and now we're back to everybody's supposed to be getting it.
Am I hearing that everyone is not receiving that document? Trustee Charles?
I don't know. If the subject line is bill summary, then it's been a little bit of time since I've seen it. I do remember getting it, I think in April, but I don't know that I've gotten it since. So I just want to make sure that it's known that we all want it, not just.
Right. I think it's been coming in a bulk email with other documents, so you may not be able to clearly identify it. So I will have, Ms. Norris send that separately and have the subject line bill disbursement so that there's no mistake about it. Uh-oh, you went out.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, trustees?
No.
Hearing none, public participation. If you wish to address the board regarding a school-related issue that has not yet been resolved by school administration, please click on the raise your hand sign in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. As a matter of fairness, speakers with complaints against individuals are asked not to mention persons by name. Complaints concerning employees pursuant to Board Policy 9130 should be brought to the attention of school principals or other administrators before coming to the Board of Education. The cooperation is appreciated. I'm going to scroll through the attendees to see if there are any hands raised. And if trustees, if you can check with me as well, just to make sure that I'm not overlooking someone. I don't see anyone at this time that has a question. Okay. Anything from the good of the order from trustees?
Yeah. Well, before you,
Trustee Rob.
I'm sorry, does the exclamation mark mean something or no? Oh, no. Okay, never mind. Good to go.
Trustee Robinson?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions here that I'd like to have addressed. The budget and the truth in taxation report. This is June, and normally we have that in May so we can discuss it and digest it and then come back in June and approve it. When do you anticipate us getting this report?
We hope to have that to you within the next 7 days. We have postponed that as far as we could because we've been waiting on the state of Michigan to give us the variables, of which they've not done so to date. So if no later than next week, you will have those documents because we can no longer wait. We have to have our budget approved by June 30th, as you are all aware. So we've pushed it back as far as we could, hopeful that the state would give us numbers, and they've yet to do so.
Okay. Also, have you guys entertained year-round school? Is that an option?
That is an option that we can discuss at the work study session.
Okay.
We're looking at all variables at this time.
And my other question is some enrichment program. What are we doing for the students for some enrichment? Because a lot of kids, even though they're online, they really didn't fully get the concept or the grasp of teaching. So I know they've been promoted, but that means they're going to be behind in that higher grade when they start in September. So is there any place that has been discussed for some enrichment program for these students?
Yes, at the last meeting, I shared our plans for the summer in terms of our lower grade students. Each student will get an activity workbook that encompasses English language arts, math, social studies, and science. They will also get some books to read. We also will have our teaching staff serve as tutors for the summer, so they will have specific office hours for those students needing additional tutorial. And we will also have all of our online software platforms available to our families for the duration of the summer. With the high school students, we have 1 or 2 more meetings that we need to have to finalize some things for credit recovery, because we're really trying to come up with a plan for our seniors and our high school students that need credit recovery that would be at a minimal cost for our families because they've been impacted by COVID. In the past, credit recovery courses have cost upward of $300, and we're trying to get that cost down to approximately $150. So that is why we are delayed in that process. But we will have that information out by the beginning of next week.
Okay. And I have another question. We're going to get an update on SRAC.
That's going to be part of the conversation that we have when we talk about all of the items for next year, because one of the considerations may be that several buildings need to go offline, and maybe we have some virtual platforms, some hybrid platforms, and some brick and mortar platforms. So that will be part of the conversation that we have as a work study session.
Okay. And my last comment is I'm hoping that we can revisit that Black History Program policy, because since we've had this racism against Black children, Black men specifically, and even women, some of these kids don't know the history of racism and what we have endured throughout the last 100 years. So I think it would be good for us to teach these kids why they're being attacked, so they'll know what the expectations are, because they don't know what racism is all about. I'm sure my 6-year-old granddaughter films from the South, from bull counters, and when they put the dogs on the people, when they bombed the church in Alabama. So she would know what happened. But every parent don't have those videos where they can show that and explain that vividly to their children. So they need to know their history. You can't go forward unless you know where you came from.
I agree that we need to teach about our history. That's not a debate. But the question that I have is, I don't believe we have a policy that prohibits.
Well, yeah, we mentioned last time when the lady came, and Dr. Green mentioned a policy that would talked against teaching Black history, and that it was approved by Mr. Lopez erroneously.
The policy that I specifically mentioned was the curriculum development policy, and it says if a unit is to be taught, it has to come before the curriculum team and then to the Board of Education. So that was about curriculum development. But to your point, Trustee Robinson, in the letter that was drafted to our community, we did put resources in that document for our families to be able to access online, for them to be able to share with their families. And in my conversation with the Teachers Union leadership yesterday, I did tell them that I was going to share numerous resources with them to be able to provide it. Ironically, the union president, of course, is a social studies teacher, and right now they're on that unit of civil rights. So I'm providing them with numerous resources as we speak so that they can help our children, and we will also share those pieces with our families.
Okay.
I did have something for the good of the order. One of the things that we typically do during the graduation ceremony is to showcase what the graduating senior class has achieved in terms of scholarship. Last year, we reported, I'm going to give you roundabout numbers, that the university had $10 million in scholarship and Southfield A&T had $20 million. And together quickly, that's around $30 million. Well, this year, Southfield A&T has earned $29 million in scholarships just for Southfield A&T. We're working on getting the growing continual number, because A&T probably still has more that are coming in, as well as the U. So we'll compile that and share that with the community as well. Just wanted to make sure that the community knows that there are good things coming out of our district. I mean, the U has been nationally ranked. A&T has produced a variety of scholars and athletes that are going to secondary ed learning. So you can get a solid education in this district and achieve scholarship to the next level in this district. So well done, students, on your achievement.
Mr. Hicks, one more thing. There are some students at the U that were accepted to attend Ivy League University. That needs to be highlighted as well.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Highlighting Ivy Leagues, we might as well highlight HBCUs too.
No, of course, without a doubt.
I do have one thing, Board President, and I am probably the bearer of less than great news. I just think it's important as board members that we adhere to our policy here, where it says complaints concerning employees or persons are not going to be mentioned by name. We just, I just want my board members not to keep throwing a name into the conversation. It could open us up to stuff.
Absolutely.
Did I do that?
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, well.
In any other trustee comments for the good of the order?
Board President, I'm not a trustee, but I do have one additional piece. There was a particular student at Southfield Regional who came as for superintendent's hearing, and this, we take those superintendent hearings very seriously before we recommend them to the board, and we try diligently to ensure that we provide wraparound supports. This young person not only came back to school, but came back to school and did extremely well, was accepted to Albion College and received $96,000 in scholarship money. So again, the practices that we are putting in place work. Our student support network works extremely hard, and we're very proud of that young person and the work that the team is doing. So I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that young person.
Absolutely. Any other items for the good of the order? Hearing none. Future meetings, Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020, 6 p.m., Truth and Taxation meeting. Also, Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020, 6:30 p.m., special board meeting / study session. Tuesday, June 30th, 2020, 6 p.m., special board meeting. Meeting adjourned at 9:19 p.m. Be safe, everyone.
Have a good evening. Be safe, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening.
Good night.
Good evening.